Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 7-Minute Perfect AFL podcast. We have made it through 10 rounds of the 2026 AFL season. It was a week where Geelong stamped their authority as the clear number one premiership contenders. Sydney scraped past the Pies, while the Dockers handled the Dons with aplomb at Marvel Stadium, and it was Wallach Marrawar getting a shock upset win over Greater Western Sydney. Should Adam Kingsley be joining Michael Voss in the help wanted queue? That is something we'll discuss later. I am Jesse Dart, joined as always by Liam. And Liam,
Hello.
as we kick off the fortnight of Sir Doug Nicholls round festivities, really should be plural because there is two of them. A great result. Some teams, I think, lived up to expectation coming in, and also a couple of very disappointing performances that we'll talk about tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. There's some really surprising bad performances across the weekend, which I'm sure we'll get to talk to in just a little bit. At @CMPerfect_AFL is where you can get us on Instagram, Apple, Amazon, Spotify for our main pod, and of course on YouTube, where you can catch us obviously now, potentially, or for tips and trades coming up tomorrow, where we talk about our tips for the coming week, our fantasy moves, and that's going to be a really fun episode this week. Jesse, what do you reckon?
I'd just like to have a chat with Chris Fagan, is all I'm going to say on that subject. And actually McQualter as well. Double tagging is for cowards. But before we get to the round recaps and go through all of that, we have something else to talk about, Liam. We're going to talk about the tradies. No, not the people that come in and carpet your home and do everything around the house. The tradies being the players that have come into new clubs in season 2026 and kind of grading how they've gone so far, because we're well and truly almost at the halfway point, well past the third of the way in the season. And we can start to kind of see who's landed where, how they're faring, and has the receiving club gotten benefit out of that. So there's no discussion about was it a good deal for the losing club in many cases, but very much a conversation about how the players are settling in to their new environments.
Yes, and so, I mean, obviously these are the kinds of videos that tend to get the most angry comments. So, of course, any comments you have, be them good or bad, let us know down below, because, of course, Jesse has put this together with his own opinion, his own thought process on this, right, Jesse? And we've bracketed them to three little spots. We've got the disasters, we've got the solids, who have come in and basically done what they're supposed to do, and then the Masterstrokes. Those trades or free agents who have come in, because we've got free agents in here as well, who have come in and have just absolutely ripped it up in their new colours. Jesse, that sounds about right? Sounds about fair?
It does. And before people get very upset about why is this player only in solid, they've been great. You can't have more players in Masterstrokes than you do in solid. That debalances the whole thing. And also, they're rated relative to how good I think the player is compared to how well I think they've performed.
Yes.
So if you don't like it, make your own.
Yeah, make your own, or let us know in the comments what you would have done, where you would have put them in. Quite crucially, why? We like those ones that give us the
also,
why.
I wrote this before all the Sunday games. I'm going to say that now. I reckon I wrote this about 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. So there's probably a couple of players I would consider moving of some truly horrific performances on Sunday. But let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, and I do appreciate, Jesse, that you're not making me redo any graphics last minute. It's fantastic. We love that.
What's done?
Well, that's right. What is done is done. The relocation ratings, Jesse, we're going to start with our Masterstrokes, start with the good, work our way down to the disasters. A nice little pyramid of Masterstrokes in here, including some surprising names and maybe some not so surprising. I was surprised to see you put Rechko in here in the Masterstroke. What's your reasoning? What's your reasoning, Jesse?
I think he's been great for the Tigers in a team where really if you have two working arms and two working legs, you've got a shot to play.
Yep.
I think Rechko's shown some real positivity. He was obviously not getting a game at Geelong. It looked like he was fairly unlikely to get a game at Geelong. So change of scenery, change of opportunity. I think he's really stood up for the Tigers. And this is very much a pick where you're weighting someone on the basis of what they're expected to do compared to how they performed. Rechko, I don't think he's going to win a Brownlow. Sure. However, he's come in. He's played a really good role. I even think that coming in, he wasn't considered Richmond's best 23. So injury calamity aside, I think he's been a really good, solid pickup for the Tigers, and he is a trading masterstroke to start us off.
Very good. And of course, we're going to go through every player in this much depth because, as you'll see, when we get to the solid graphic, there's a lot of players. But where would you like to go next, Jesse? Where would you like to go next? The two Sydney boys, or should we stick in Melbourne?
Yeah, let's go Sydney. Let's start with Rosas, I think. He has been superb. Obviously, the 7-goal game a couple of weeks ago very much highlights. That was against the D's, wasn't it? Where he kicked 7. He was fantastic on that occasion. Really good pickup. Another one who wasn't getting a game at the Suns in his case. Change of scenery. Pretty much instant best 23, which I thought he was going to be. coming in, just looking at how weak Sydney's forward line is around their tall players. Like, I mean, Jaden Lloyd spent time as a small forward last season. That's kind of all you need to know in terms of positional quality. So he was always going to be best 23. And to his credit, he's really stood up and proven that he deserves to be in that role, outside of just a lack of depth. I think he's showing real potential. He's still fairly young, so plenty of upside as well for the Swans. I think this is a great pickup, a clear masterstroke in my eyes.
Yes, my Sydney supporting friends have also said that they're so glad that they got Malcolm Rosas from the Suns, but they're also very stoked about this other guy. I nearly said, Caleb Sarong. It is not him. It's his brother. Jesse, what's to say?
Definitely not Caleb. So no, Joe Sarong's been good. Another one who, really a lot of this is, with the exception of one player, 1.5 players, a lot of this is copy and paste. Player X wasn't getting game time at other club. They've gone to a club that's arguably in a better position than the club they're at, although with Sydney and Hawthorn, it's close. And he's getting consistent best 23 game time and looking right at home. So that's a good deal in anyone's book. So as long as you don't give up a first-round pick for these guys, you're doing fine. And
look, I was going to trade him out last week in the fantasy, but I couldn't because of your little penalty that you gave to me. And he had a pretty good game, actually, after all that, which was quite nice. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. CJ, down the bottom there.
Yeah, another one. Really copying and pasting here.
Well,
at least it's saving time. Jath was very much getting game time for the Hawks last season, but I actually made him my disappointment last year for Hawthorn, I think. In the end.
I think you did.
He looked a bit out of place. It looked like the team had kind of gone past him, but he's relishing his role off half-back for the Demons. That's a really nice fit for him. Temp's on the up too, which I really like that as well. He's gone into a team that's surprisingly found themselves on the up. Realistically, I think they're a clear finals contender at this point. If not a top 6 contender. It's very hard to argue. So he's filling an important role. He's looking a lot more defensively solid. I think having a guy like Jake Lever really helps him because you can kind of play off him. I think having Lever and Turner as your spine, they're not as overpowering and commanding as a guy like Sicily, Battle, Barras can be. So I think it's more of that kind of cohesive unit. That's not to say that Hawthorn isn't, but I just think it's a better fit for Jath and a player that kind of has his attributes, especially in the air. So a good result for him and a good result for the Demons to date.
And of course, Butterick is rounding out the bottom part of this pyramid. We'll save the best to last, I reckon. Jesse, the Butterick is the bottom right. Well, best to last in my opinion. You might have a different thought. But there's a reason I put old Steele's face poking out the top of the pyramid there. But you've got Butterick in the Masterstrokes as well.
Yeah, I do. Liam, it's not very creative compared to my last 4 rationales. Wasn't really getting game time at Gold Coast. Just another club in a relatively good position. Instantly best 23, performing well. Like his versatility as well. So Butterick is a player that the Dogs, I think, really needed. They do have a fair few guys that are a bit one-dimensional. I think we'll talk about that a bit later on. That they've got one-dimensional dogs out there. Like you can't teach some of these dogs new tricks, like playing in new positions. Butterick you can, and what we're seeing from the Dogs' point of view is a real reward for investing in him to this point.
We'll finish up with Jack Steele because obviously he was probably the biggest pickup across the unbeknownst to anybody, but I think coming into the D's from the Saints this year. Probably a bit different to the other ones, like where he was wanting to kind of stay at St Kilda and he's gone across to Melbourne and has absolutely killed it. He's killing it over there, Jesse. He's killing it.
Now, I made it very clear at the time when we did our trade previews going into trade and fantasy and free agency and then also coming out of it that St Kilda had to trade Steele. Now, I absolutely stand by that. However, I also think you have to ask the question, which I did at the time, of how are you getting yourself into this much of a financial pickle that you have to pay half your captain's salary for them to go away, and also have you really fixed your midfield? Because I don't think they did. And what we're now getting is a guy that is obviously probably on the wrong side of career longevity in terms of Steele's future, but you got a guy who's getting half price for the Demons. That's great. They traded a future third for him, or a 3rd round pick. So they've paid nothing in reality. And he's come in, adds a lot of stabilisation, really takes pressure off guys like Cosy Pickett. The only downside is I think it may be slightly hurting Langford's development. I feel like we're not seeing him in the contest as much as we perhaps would if Steele wasn't there. So that's maybe a negative from that point of view. But I think we need to be overwhelmingly positive in terms of what the Demons have gotten out of Steele. He's been a great pickup. He's hit the ground running. He draws in a lot of attention from opposition teams because he's so combative at the contest. And I think he looks a lot more invigorated than he did in his last couple of years at the Saints. So maybe a bit of a point to prove there. But look, a really good pickup for Steele onto his third club. Melbourne have got him for cheap, and he's very clearly one of their best players. There was a question about how it was going to go, I think, coming in. Obviously hadn't had a great year last year. St Kilda were pretty keen to get rid of him despite his wishes to stay. It's worked out really well for Steele. I think it's worked out really well for the Demons as well.
100%, 100%. Now let's get into some more controversial stuff. I think the less controversial will be at the top end. It usually is. I think some people might question the Rechko and stuff because probably not as name value is not there as much as what you'll see in the solid sections, Jesse. Here they are. And there is going to be a lot of pictures on here. So just, we don't have to go through all, we don't have to go through all of them. It's fine.
I'll do my best. Let's start from the top. Oh, start from the top or from the bottom?
Jesse, this is yours, man. You go. I think this isn't in any real order, so go wherever you want.
No, it's not. It's all relative. I'm going to start with Petrarca because he's staring through my soul in the middle of that screen. Petrarca's been great, but he was always going to be great. And right now, he's not been dominant. I think for him to be a masterstroke, you'd have to be talking, Brownlow leader. And he's been fantastic. He's been brilliant for them. But I think you got what you paid for to this point with Petrarca. I don't think they've gotten more than that. But that's not to say they haven't gotten their money's worth out of it. So I think for that definition alone, you have to put him in solid. Curto, well, I mean, he can go missing, which isn't great, but he's also scoring goals when he's not missing, which is helpful. I still am unsure about this being a great deal long-term for the Swans, but you can't argue with their ladder position, and he is hitting the scoreboard, so he's solid. Jamara, haven't seen a lot of him yet. What we have seen is positive, and they've paid peanuts. This very may well end up being a masterstroke when we do a mega recap at the end of the season, talk about all the draft and trade is, because double clickbait. That very may well end up being a good result for the Suns there. Myercheck, very solid output from him so far at the Demons. I like him when he's fit, obviously. That is a key caveat to that, but solid player, like what we're seeing from him. Adds a bit to a Melbourne forward line, even if they are quite undersized, apart from Van Rooyen. Flanders has been great. Flanders is great if you play fantasy. I don't have him. Liam does. 1,000,001 reasons why I lost this week. Shut up, Liam. But he's been good. He's been a solid contributor. I think he's probably the one of the Saints million that are closest to being a masterstroke to this point. We'll see. We'll see with how that goes. But I think so far, humming along quite nicely. Oscar Allen, before he went down, was looking promising. I like him. The injuries are concerned, given injuries are kind of always a concern with Oscar Allen. But I just think you have to be mindful that that's just him. And if they can get him out there for a full season next year, that's when you start to really get an ROI on this deal. Oliver, look, I don't know if he's a good fit for the Giants, to be honest. He's great for numbers, which is why I've kept him in solid. And honestly, even though he had, 38 disposals yesterday, he's one of the guys I'm talking about when I say I actually would probably redo this and put him closer to disaster. Because he is just not a good fit for that midfield. And it is holding the Giants back. It's not him individually that is the problem here. But I don't know. If the Giants had their time again, would they do this deal? Is he like you can't look at this and say, right, on paper you've gone from Kelly to Oliver because Kelly's out for the year, and we've absolutely crumbled in the midfield. And I know they've got injuries elsewhere, but we're talking about the middle. They are horrible in the midfield. Like West Coast bullied them yesterday, or Wallish Marawa bullied them yesterday. Also, that's a reminder, we're using Nijic's names this week. If I forget them once, I'm sorry. I'll try to remember. It's just, I don't know. He looks like a shadow of his former self. We'll move on. Spargo, started to see him around. He's been okay for North. McVee, another one that probably would have had their rating reassigned. He does play for the team that was wearing purple. I think he knows that. I think he knows that. Because he wasn't hitting Melly Wally-Lap targets yesterday. He was hitting a lot of bombers on the chest. Or boundary umpires for a lasso.
Look, fair credit where credit's due. He's had an okay season. Yes, this week wasn't his finest game, but that's okay. I think he's still been solid outside of that.
Liam Ryan, good so far. No complaints there. A bit of a highlight reel, isn't he? Liam Ryan, he's a good highlight reel. Warple, I mean, he's slid out of the team now, but they didn't pay much for him, so we can keep him in solid. Is there anyone else I really need to talk about? Florent's been okay. Hayward's been okay. They won a game this week. Hallelujah. They've still won 2 games all season. Is there anyone else I need to talk about in that list? Buller's been fine. I don't think he's quite the answer. And now that Ben King looks like he's staying, that could be a problem for the Pies long term. I get the sense that Buller might have been a you keep this seat very warm for Ben and make sure it's nice and comfortable for those mornings at Victoria Park. But I think he might be stretching his legs out and get in the recliner, old Jackie Buller, because it's not looking good for the Pies in that department. But he's been okay. He's threatened. He's good in the air. He's very good in the air. If he can start to find some goal-kicking power, he could be a really good get for the Pies for basically nothing. But for now, solid.
Yeah. I think Ware's the only one you missed, but that's okay.
And fine.
Both fine. Came in, do job, well done. Now, this is where probably have to explain yourself a bit more, Jesse, just for the love of the viewers, but I'm sure you're ready for it. We're going to our disaster zone. And I'm not too sure if you've noticed, we've only got 2 Saints so far. So guess where the other ones are? Here they are. So here's our I've got Will Brodie kind of just faded off to the side there because, let's be real, Freo gave him away for nothing and he's only played 1 game. So where do you put him? Faded away into obscurity on the side there. But Jesse, your disaster list here. Let's rock and roll.
Look, you can't pay a ruckman $1.8 million a year and they're getting outshone by the other ruckman on the team. Tom De Koning, obviously disaster is very strong and very emotive, and I didn't pick that word. I want to make that very clear. But these are the trades that are very anxious. They're not working out the way that they probably should have to this point. And I don't think you could look at the ROI on a De Koning deal and say, wow, this is worth the money. This guy has changed the way we play. They look better with Marshall in the ruck. I know he got a couple of goals on the weekend. That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a good step in the right direction. But realistically, for the amount of money he's on, there was all the talk last year was he's not having a great year, but maybe he's just down and he knows he's on the way out. I think arguably he might have had a better year last year, and he wasn't great at Carlton last year. He was the whole conversation last year was, are we really paying De Koning $1.8 million a year? And by we I mean I St Kilda doing that. But if you looking through some of his numbers, he's averaging 1 hit out a game more than his career average this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging half a hit out to advantage more than his career average. I'm going to go season by season here because that's probably more helpful. Mm-hmm. I know, obviously, with the caveat that they are playing 2 rucks, so you got Marshall as well, so that will affect some of your numbers. But this is his lowest hit-outs per game since 2023, when he had 17.5. Like, I don't know if you can say this is a good deal. He's also down 4 disposals a game on last week. He's not really hitting the scoreboard. He's averaging half a goal a game, which is equivalent to his career best on multiple occasions. So I don't know what he's actually bringing to this team that remotely justifies $1.8 million.
No, and you also said that you'd give the Saints the bye, which we are rapidly approaching, to see if and how their cohesion kind of started coming to the fore. It's getting better. It's getting better. Do you reckon there's at least some upside for TDK across the rest of the year?
Well, of course, because you got to consider the fact he is still relatively young, and you do have to give ruckman more time generally, especially leaner ruckman, which is what De Koning is. But for a guy that was being talked about as well, this guy's going to benefit from all the rule changes. He's going into a new environment. He's going to be a big dog and big boy and woof woof and bark bark and look at me, I'm the big boy now. I think Royal Marshall's having a better year. Mm-hmm. And I just think when we're talking about value for money, you got one end, which is the Steele deal, which in fact, Liam, you're not going to believe this, was a steal.
Steele, yeah.
And the other end, you've got this. And I don't see how you can be... if they had have gotten rid of Marshall to Geelong that they were trying to do and then weirdly didn't do it despite being offered a very good deal by the Cats, it could go one of 2 ways. De Koning could have stepped up and been great, but I look at his form last year when he was number 1 ruck for the majority. He had Pitnet there and abouts, and he just looked like he's any different from that. So I struggle, Liam. I struggle to name this anything more than a cause for concern for the Saints. And I think when you're paying a significant amount of your salary cap towards this guy, you'd want to see more than what we have so far.
Sticking with the Saints then, may as well roll down to Silvani, who came across in free agency from the Blues as well. Also in the disaster area, and yes, I did choose that word because I didn't know what else to do, Jesse. I knew you were going to talk to it, so I could just chuck into the deep end. Now you've called me out for being the one that came up with that word. How dare you? But Silvana has been a bit of a disaster though. What's he really done this season? Not much.
Yeah, we'll give him the De Koning treatment as well because I've got the Euro stats up, which is helpful when we're talking about these things.
Sure.
Where's old Jackie boy? I don't think he's been horrific, but his output's not really changed. Last year was his first year as a defender. He's still getting roughly the same amount of marks, less kicks, more handballs. That's probably more Ross ball for him. But it's a guy that, again, you bring in someone and you're telling us this is your big boy list now. This is your premiership team. And I don't think we're seeing anything from Silvani that indicates he's ready to be a premiership player at this football club. And, you know, we're talking now about a team that's not going to have much salary wiggle room. They're already paying Nam half their ex-captain salary. I don't know. I look at this and I think Flanders, good get. Ryan, he's been good. These two, though, can we say they've been good? I don't think... the most generous compliment I could offer Silvani is he's been okay most of the time.
Yeah, but for a big name that you're bringing in, and with much fanfare at the start of the season, okay is probably not what you want. Especially, like you were saying, big boy pants, St Kilda, saying they're here going for the premiership. Okay ain't going to cut the mustard, unfortunately, I don't think. Especially with these with those big names. A lot of attention on them, though. A lot of attention. Maybe too much attention, Jesse, you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think it's helping. I think if Bassett had his time again, the words premiership list never would have come out of his mouth. Or the language and the messaging around this being the contending list, because it's just set a completely unrealistic expectation for these guys.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you got guys like Hall, Wilson, they're coming through. They're looking really good for the Saints. But then, like, is Silvani that far off being a list clogger? Like, they're still rolling out Liam Stocker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not a premiership list, is it? They've gone until the bye.
Well, 3 more rounds, then we'll make a final judgment. Where you want to go next, Jesse? You want to go to West Coast? You want to go to the Bombers?
Let's do the Wallage Marrow pair. I actually didn't put Starcevic in here. This is another one I didn't do. So we're going to try and balance the amount of hate comments that we get, and you can have a couple.
The reason I put it in there is because when you bring someone across and they don't play a game because they're injury ridden, and you knew they were injury ridden when you got them. Like, I mean, based on your previous thoughts, I guess you could put him in solid. You're getting exactly what you think you're getting. But I mean, they brought him over for some experience and they've got nothing out of it. That's why I thought this might have fit more in the disaster. But what are your thoughts, Jesse? I had to have some input into this, didn't I?
Well, I think Devon Robertson will probably also fall into the same category. I left off this for the Starcevic rule. Robertson was good when he was there. He would be in solid. I don't know. It's not great because they're paying him good coin.
Mm-hmm.
They knew about the injury risk. They knew about the serious concussion risk. He's not really had a concussion issue. It's just been calf, and more calf. So, Look, I think it's too early to be definitive on Starcevic. He could turn out to be a great player for the Eagles. But, we're talking about likely getting to the buys without seeing him at AFL level. That's not great. I know he's not a superstar recruit at all, but they're paying him somewhat like a superstar recruit, if the reports are to be believed. So, not great. Tyler Young's in here because I don't know if he's an upgrade on Sandy Brock, and his defending actively terrifies me a lot of the time. I really feel for Ruben Jimmy in that back line because, and look, actually, to be fair, Young had a good game against the Giants, but there's been some bad ones in there this season. There's been some really bad ones in there this season.
You got Chester in there as well for Carlton?
Yeah, if you're not getting a game in this Carlton team, where are you at? And I say that about Blake Acres as well, who's not involved in this. I just want to take a shot at Blake Acres. Where are you at? Liam Reedy, who I also didn't make this list. Where are you at? Probably hovering towards that disaster column as well, because like realistically, everyone's playing 2 rucks now. Mark Pittenhead's keeping you out of the team. Bad start. Hudson O'Keefe's also getting games over you. That's even worse.
Yeah. And I believe they're rounding it out. I think it's Fiorini at the front there for the Bombers?
Yeah, this is a concern for me because he's now injured, and when he was playing for the Bombers, he looked like doing nothing, adding nothing, being nothing. It's just another nothing player at the Bombers, and they've got no shortage of those. The expectations are probably moderate to low. There was some hope that he could revitalise of his better form from, I think it was 2019 when he was very good at the Suns, but yeah, I don't see this working out well for either party. This stinks of another bad Bombers deal.
All right, just wrap this up in a nice little bow, Jesse. Any final thoughts on the on the trades and the free agents from last year coming to this year?
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing clubs more aggressively pursue contracted players who aren't getting absolute best 23 game time, because that seems to be the recipe for success at the moment. Even some of those solid guys, like Flanders is in that solid list. Florent was pretty entrenched in that best 23, but those type of guys who have had good impacts, they're the ones that clubs are going to be chasing, I think, next season. So don't be surprised if that's the blueprint and if there's more balking at overpriced free agents, because so far there's been a few that haven't really worked out.
Be interesting to see how this St Kilda money bag is going to affect future deals, because I mean they've priced it now, haven't they? The precedent's set. So trying to get other players to come across is going to cost you a pretty penny, I would say.
Or trying to keep your rising stars. I mean, Darcy Wilson's already being circled by just about every club in the league. That'd be a huge loss. Hall is going to be in demand as well. He'll get a payday when I think he's actually got a pretty decent contract though in terms of length for the Saints, so they probably avoided one there. But guys like Taru rolling off a rookie contract in a couple of years, I think they're going to want to keep him. Are they going to be able to keep him? Also, he's now lost his position to a guy like Silvani. Is that? I know. Look, it's wise in a sense that you think this is a premiership list, so you obviously want to go for upgrades where you can.
Sure.
But is it a premiership list?
No.
That remains to be seen. Max King obviously needs to start playing as well at some point. He'll basically be a new recruit when he turns up.
Honestly, he will. It's been, 2.5 years since he's played a game?
Yeah, we're just about. I think he went down just before the bye in 24, or just after. It was the Tassie game, so usually around this time.
Well. All right, well, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Obviously, your relocation ratings, how would you see it? Where would you put people? Let us know, of course, in the comments. But, Jesse, it is that time where we talk about some football that happened across the weekend. Round 10 action, the first of the two Sir Doug Nicholls rounds took place. Some interesting games. We'll jump right into it, Jesse, with Thursday night action. Here we go at the Gabba. The Brisbane Lions 11-10-76 being shown how to play footy by the Geelong Cats 17-15, 117. A very, very dominant performance by the Cats, and I am officially scared.
You should be.
Yeah.
You really should be. To be clear, I think the Lions will be fine.
Oh, sure.
I'm not overly concerned about the Lions. They're good for 2 or 3 of these a year, where they just do not turn up.
And I don't think it's a case of this being like a bad Lions game, just how good Geelong were. Yeah.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
This has got to be the best performance of the season, does it not?
Yeah, it had to be up there.
Like they're clearly a premiership favourites. I don't want to hear it about Sydney. I don't want to hear about Fremantle. I don't want to hear it about Wallyup. I don't want to hear it about Hawthorn or Gold Coast or anyone. This is your premiership favourites. It would be a shock to absolutely no one if Geelong get to the final series in this shape.
Mm-hmm.
But no, when people aren't beating them, especially given that it'll be a home final at GMHB, because they're going to finish top 2 or top 3 now. Is how it works out. So they're probably going to finish top 3. I don't think 2 of Wallyup, Sydney, and Hawthorn will keep them out. So they'll finish top 3. Home final at GMHBA, freebie. Prelim final, they'll probably be forced to play that at the G, but that's fine. They don't really seem to care about that. They might get lucky and get a wild card team who rose up through the chamber, so to speak. Win that easy, go to a grand final. I mean, obviously, they'll be disappointed with how 2025 went, but we know this team's fine in a grand final. Like, we're not worried about that. No. Unless they play Brisbane again. Like, I'm not worried about Geelong against Sydney. I'm not worried about Geelong against Wallyup. I'm not worried about Geelong against Gold Coast or anyone else, really. Maybe Collingwood to join Brisbane in that list of, that will be interesting to see how Geelong handle this. I think, Hawthorn maybe as well, but I think this is just a complete commanding performance by the Cats. They are clearly your premiership players. I would not have anyone else remotely close to Geelong at this point, because, I mean, Sydney, we'll talk about that in a second. They keep getting away with it. Wallyup have been on a great winning streak, but they've been beating up bad sides. And I don't know what's going on with Hawthorn, because I still think they're better than those other two, but I don't think they're better than the Cats right now.
No, hard to argue. Especially when you got like Sean Manners having like another stellar season, keeps coming through, the young fella. I keep mentioning that he's actually not that young. I mean, 5 kicked the bag in this one. Eugene Mullen is doing a fantastic job as a tagger. Like, so much so that, I've put him in the best because, you can't argue with that. What he did on the weekend was shut Neil out of the game pretty much completely, right?
Stewart was superb as well.
Yeah.
Dangerfield had a great game. Yeah. Holmes was brilliant. So, and, they do it in such a professional way.
Yes.
That that they've got Graham Myers to come back in. Stengel's now looking to get back onto an AFL program. So there's potential more ins there as well. This could be a very good team. Yeah.
Damn it. Oh, dear. Well, what about the Lions, Jesse? Obviously, we're not too worried about them for this particular game, but what do you reckon went wrong here? Just outplayed, or was there anything else?
Yeah, they were pretty comfortably outplayed. I think they missed Zorko a lot. Defensively looked a little bit frazzled. Obviously, Mullen, Kangas opinions. McClug isn't having a good year. He looked like a shadow of the player he was last year, and that's hurting them, I think, as well. Washcroft was well held. Lashcroft was pretty good. But yeah, Washcroft struggled. That was disappointing. That's not me with a lisp either. That's Will Ashcroft, just abbreviated. And yeah, forward line, Morris obviously had a night to forget as well. That's going to happen. He's still very much in his development phase, which is terrifying because he's really good.
Yes, correct. But kind of Tracy-esque from when you hated him a few years ago, Tracy.
No, because Morris has started well.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It took Tracy making lifestyle changes to figure out where he was at AFL level.
Fair enough. Cameron had a good one as well. But yes, overall, just a very, very scary win by the Cats. Right here, let's move on, Jesse, to our next game. We're going to the SCG on Friday night. We've got the Sydney Swans, 11-15-81, just getting over. The Magpies, 10-15-75.
They're not going to like me for saying this, Lam.
Who's they? Pronouns power. Okay, fair.
Jamie Wynn. Jamie Wynn wouldn't have happened if either Cameron was fit or Steen didn't go down. Jamie Wynn.
Gotcha.
They just continue to get absolutely blessed with their season start so far. They have an unbelievable win-loss record, and teams are falling over to go either out of form or be decimated by injuries at the worst possible time. And look, you can absolutely make the argument if you can only beat what's in front of you. That's 100% true. But I think this was a very much a blessing for the Swans. And I think realistic Sydney fans would acknowledge that. And you know, I get the sense that maybe we're talking about another runaway train here like 2024 where they were so good in the home and away season and then completely capitulated when it mattered. And that's what this team strikes me as. Liam, it strikes me as a team that will capitulate. I'm not afraid of the Swans. And if anything, this game just reinforced it for me. Like Nick Dacos spent half the game as a full forward. Obviously, Grundy had an absolute freebie after Steen went down. He was already giving Steen a handy bath before then, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But, you know, you go from Steen, who is an actual ruckman, to McStay, who is, 195, 193 centimetres. McStay wouldn't even be probably rucking if a guy like Darcy Moore was in the team. You'd be like, well, you're going to have to go, Darcy, sorry. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear Sydney fans' perspective on this because I feel the same way about Wallylup as well. I think it's more sort of a fixture thing with Wallylup. They've had a very soft time of things. Sydney have had a relatively hard draw, but keep seeming to get some blessings along the way. They have had a few very generous results come to them just by way of coincidence outside the circumstances, which I absolutely acknowledge they can't control that. But I'm looking at this and thinking it's great they won. They continue their streak. That's very impressive. But the performances are gradually starting to get worse as well. And I think this would have been a loss if Steen was healthy the whole game. That's just my opinion. You can tell me I'm wrong. That's just my opinion.
Well, we will never know, Jesse, because that's not what happened.
No, exactly.
But no, Blakey was also fantastic again. He's had about a couple of weeks as old Liz, and McInerney's been good as well. Obviously, Dacos, Quaid has been like this quiet achiever all year for the Magpies. I feel like he's one of those players that just kind of does his role really, really well, but doesn't have that name value. So everyone kind of just forgets about it because Nick Dacos is there.
One thing I will give Sydney credit for is they really did a good job at quelling the influence of Houston and Josh Dacos. Obviously, a lot of rebound run comes out of those guys, and they were pretty well contained. So credit to Sydney. I think the SCG helped with that as well, and that is one thing they're very good at is setting up that ground exactly to their specifications. Are we concerned about Chad Warner, Liam?
Are we concerned about him?
Is he hurting teams at the moment?
He's had a couple of games this season where he has, for sure. Maybe not so much in this one, but he's had his moments. Probably not consistent. But he's had moments.
I think if I'm West Coast right now, I'm licking my lips at this and saying, "Oh, we might be able to knock a little bit off the deal here."
Really?
Over the body of work this season. I don't know. I think we've gone from seeing a guy that was a clear All-Australian in 24 to just a player. Even last year, very good. But if we look at some numbers, and I'm happy to do numbers because numbers are fun.
You love numbers, Jesse.
He's down on disposals. He's down on tackles. He's down on clearances. He's down on every level on goals. So that's still good. He's still a goal-kicking mid, which is giving him value and utility. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think this has been a great year from the Chad. And I think there's been games as well throughout where he's not really hit the mark.
Maybe he's already got one eye on the door back home to WA, Jesse. Maybe that's what it is. He wants to get back here. He's just so peachy keen to be back here. Maybe that's what it is. No, I think he's still a fantastic player. I think he'll be fine. But yeah, that's just from what I've seen this year. Stats be damned. Let's move on, Jesse. We still got 7 games to go through, so we'll kick on to this one. In TIO up in Darwin, we got the Gold Coast Suns 15-8-98 beating Yartapulti 10-13-73 in what was what can best be described as a match played in a sauna.
I'm just going to say it.
Go on.
I'm going to complain about a lot of things tonight. I'm in a very.
You came in with that mood though tonight. You came in with that mood. Yeah, I felt it. I felt it at the start.
Just wait until we get to the Sunday games. I've got a real gripe with the Sunday games. Not even about the games themselves, just about something that's going to happen with the Sunday games.
Okay.
If I know we're all very invested and we're all very happy about Tasmania and it's wonderful and it's going to generate $80 billion and it's all going to be fantastic.
I wasn't expecting it. But
we need to have we can't be looking at Darwin for a T20. I understand it would be great for the town. Sure. I understand it would be cool to have a truly national competition. I'm not saying that's wrong, but you can't put this in front of me and say this is good for the game and this is good for the elite environment. Now, can you get the NTFL, which plays in not these conditions, onto a 7+ or a streaming service that actually, it doesn't matter, and just show that regularly and promote the territory game that way? 100% you can, and you probably should. But if I hear one more thing about Team 20 being in Darwin, I think I'm going to scream, because this last quarter was horrific. Horrific. I
don't think I've ever seen a game that it's so humid and so muggy that the turf is mushy. Usually it's after a wet, like an absolute torrential downpour. I'm not too sure if it did rain. Did it rain during the match, Jesse? I don't think it did.
No, and credit to the crowd for turning up as well and making it a spectacle. In no way am I like poo-pooing Darwin as a city. It looks it looks absolutely beautiful and I would love to go. But in terms of elite professional sports, a full-time base here, no. You could not possibly do it just with the climatic conditions in the calendar of which the AFL plays in. It's not possible.
It's hottest time of the year. So it's just like, well, what do you do? Maybe not hottest time of the year, but you know what I mean. It's very muggy. It's very gross. But the game itself, Jesse, what are your thoughts?
Suns continue keeping on. Yartapulti, I like what we're seeing with Yartapulti. I like what we're seeing with Josh Carr. And I still think they're probably 3 years away, and I'm putting a lot of that on the fact that Butters is likely going to go, and they're going to have to rebuild a bit on the run. So, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see them rocket back to contention next year or anything like that. They could. They've got a good list, but I don't think they're going to quite do that. What I am liking, though, is that players are stepping up on the periphery around Butters. You got Burgoyne and Berry in your best. Those are two really good examples of players that are trying to force their way into this team and make themselves stars. And we saw a little bit of that last year at the back end of Ken Hinckley's reign. We saw guys like Matt Liddy was a really good example. I think he's out injured at the moment, but putting his hand up and saying, I want to be a part of this. More of that, please, from Yartapulti, because I was very critical at the start of the year, and I maintain that. They've absolutely blown any chance of a wildcard spot with some horrendous performances against West Coast and North, I think it was, that they blew it against. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. So, better, improving. It's not going to be enough this year. The Suns, I mean, it's always hard to judge these games because they're very much dominant in Darwin. But, hey, they're doing what they need to do. I think those players are going to look forward to a break from 2 weeks in Darwin, because that is quite the climactic conditioning they would have needed to have gone through to get through that one.
Probably lost about 15 kilos just in sweat being up there for a couple of weeks, Jesse. All right, let's move on to Saturday action. Here we go. At the Adelaide Oval, the Crows 10-10. That's how many they scored in the second quarter. 2013, 133, beating the Kangaroos 9-11-65 because of that aforementioned 10-goal second quarter. It was an absolute blitz, which is unfortunately something that the Kangas have found themselves being a bit susceptible to in the last couple of years, but still very disappointing from a team that you actually had a tip to win because you thought there might be a cheeky outside chance, and they kind of shut the bed.
Yeah, I thought that they had Kawana at the right time, and they just did not capitalise at all, and were absolutely walked over. Had they been able to stem that bleeding, kept it 4 goals at halftime, absolutely a different game. That was very clearly obliterated relatively early into the second quarter, and it was just one-way traffic from there. Very disappointing from the Roos. I still feel like they've turned the corner, this was very disappointing, and I just wonder, are we comfortable saying Kawana are back on track? I don't think so just yet. This is a great win, and absolutely a win that. And I think you mentioned something like this in Tips and Trades Land, where you need this to kind of launch yourself, and draw a line in the sand almost. So they've done that, and we absolutely should commend that. But yeah, I don't know. This felt like a very poor performance from North, a very good performance from Kawana, but I think they've almost done this at the wrong time because they've got one of the early buys, the Crows. So they'll go into next week, they'll play, then they get a bye. They've found themselves having a very disjointed season already. I don't think that's going to help.
I think any team's going to find it very hard to come back from a 10-goal quarter from the opposition. Because, I mean, after that, the first quarter was quite competitive. And then the rest of the game was just nothing. It was just nothing. I think the Kangas just kind of played to save themselves a little bit of pride. But no, it was definitely all done by the shouting in that second quarter, Jesse. Is there anything specific to add about any of the players that you noticed in this particular game?
Rochelle was great. I still think he has a spot in that midfield, but he's taking every advantage in the forward line. So credit to him. He's going to be a player that I think is going to frustrate at times. And he's been around long enough where we know what Rochelle is. And I think we're seeing a Rochelle that can go through the midfield like he was earlier in the season. I think that's the best version of him. So I'm interested to see how that develops with Matt Nix for the rest of the year, because I'd like to see him in the guts more. I understand that you can't probably have him and Rankin in the same midfield at the same time, but teams like Wally managed to do it. They kind of have specific type players that segment off each other. Like, you're not going to put you're not going to have a midfield of Johnson, Erasmus, and O'Meara, as an example. They're not going to, it's three of the same person. They are kind of like separate out that type of player. So for your electric player, you've probably got a good option. Like, you're not going to have Shea and Murphy Red in this. That's probably a better analogy for these. You're not going to have Shea and Murphy Red in the same midfield at the same time at a centre bounce. You can have one of them. I think it's the same deal with Rankin and Rochelle. I'd love to see Rochelle get more opportunity in there.
And Jordan Dawson obviously had another stellar game coming back after his devastating couple of weeks. So to come back from that and be able to put on that performance is something else. Sheezel was good for the Kangas, as he normally is. Parker's, still doing what he's doing. He's ticking the boxes into the old fella, so he's still doing some fantastic work, and Curtis keeps doing it up forward. Trembath's had a bit of a drop off. He was looking really exciting for a little bit, and then he's kind of just cooled his jets just a smidge, which is fine.
You'll get that with young forwards, especially when they're not winning.
Exactly. I was just very excited to see him keep doing some good things. He'll be back. He'll be fine. All right, let's go, Jesse, to our next game on Saturday, which is this one. The Nam Demons, this one, 18-12, 120, getting over the Hawks, 12-9, 81. I was very, very happy with my tip in this one, Jesse. I had a feeling. I don't know what it was. It could have been one of the vibes. But the Demons have just been playing some fantastic football, a really nice brand to watch. And from all accounts, Stephen King is just like, what do you call it? Box office. He wants to be box office. And I mean, so far so good. Outside a couple of blips one blip against Essendon, they've been taking it to the best sides in the competition. And, with players, a rotating feast of players in the bests every single week as well.
Yeah, I love it. Take that spreadsheet, coaches, Stephen King says, as he decimates your team 85 times over. Look, this is a great win for the Demons. This is a fantastic win. I don't know where we put Hawthorn. Very disappointing fortnight from them. I don't know if you can say the draw to Collingwood with Collingwood was disappointing as well, but with this one, they've come off a 9-day break. They're fresher than Nam. They're better than Nam, if we're being honest, on paper at the very least. And they were outplayed comfortably, and you have to give full credit to the Demons. They absolutely were good for this win. There's no arguing that. They were clearly the better side. But does that make Nam immediate contenders? No. Does that make Hawthorn immediately out of the picture? No. But it does make for an interesting conversation about where these two teams go over the next fortnight. Because if these trends extrapolate, that's when you start having those conversations.
Yeah. I think more than anything else, I think the Hawks, most people predicted to be doing fairly good things this season. Nam, not so much. So I think that's more the story. The more the story is how good they have been able to be this season. 7 wins, and they've not had the easiest of games across the way. It's exciting to see. Especially from a team that's just so quickly turned it around, Jesse. So quickly turned it around. Sparrow was fantastic. Steele was fantastic. I mean, Sparrow had probably his best game of the season, easily done.
He's loving his midfield minutes. He is making the most of his midfield minutes.
Mm-hmm. And Gawn's obviously just a superstar that he is. What about the Hawks, Jesse? Anything to say from that side?
It's telling that two of your best players are their rebound 50 halfbacks.
Yeah.
The ball was just down there that much, and it was domination. Hawthorn, their midfield strength has always been the question mark with them, and they were absolutely decimated by a very experienced team. They tagged Cozzy Pickett out of the game. That worked out well for them, but yeah, I don't know. This was concerning for me with the way they were dominated so easily at times. It's a long season though. Big game for Hawthorn coming up this week. Huge game indeed. All right, Jesse, let's move on to this one. The Carlton Blues, 10-14-74, getting over the Western Bulldogs, 9-8-62, or should I say, did I even put Bontempelli in the list? I didn't. Oh, well, it is what it is. But this was a surprising one, I think, for a lot of people, but basically because the Carlton Blues have been so piss poor this year, they actually showed a bit of heart, a bit of fight, and got a win, Jesse. Yeah, there's a couple of results this week that I'm really alarmed by. Hawthorn was teetering on that precipice in terms of, this is really bad. This is shocking from the Dogs. This is unacceptable for a team that should be pushing for a lot higher up in the ladder than they currently are. And look, I know they've got a couple of injuries. They clearly miss Sam Darcy. That's obvious to anyone. They clearly miss Liberatore. That's obvious to anyone. But pound for pound, this team should not be losing to this Carlton side. That is as troubling as you can get for a team that's meant to be pushing for, realistically, they could be pushing for a top 6 spot. And they're throwing games away to Carlton. Like that's troubling to me.
No, it's just one of those games, Jesse, where you just kind of get, because every team has this. They have a bit of a blip where your brain just doesn't quite switch on for the game. There's something that just doesn't click. Is that one of these for the Bulldogs, or do you reckon there's a bigger issue?
I think it's more. I think if and again, I'm very conscious of the fact they've had a pretty bad run with injuries in the last month or so. But if you look at their last month as well, they've been in winning positions against Fremantle and couldn't capitalise. This loss to Carlton is bad. They were flogged by Sydney. That's another example of Sydney getting a team at the right time. I think they're down on confidence. I think they're down on quality as well with some of these players being out. I mean, look at some of the guys running around out there at the moment, and it was a case of who? It's concerning for me, and I think this season is rapidly slipping away. And if they do lose on the weekend to Nam, they could be at crisis point.
Yes, which I think is a very, very strong possibility. What's to say about the Blues, though, Jesse? What was it that got them over the line in this one? Because obviously we can talk about the Bulldogs and how bad they were, but the Blues would have had to have been pretty good on the reverse side of things.
Yeah, they were. Cripps was fantastic for them, which definitely helped. Ison had a great first game and really lifted the team late as well. And Matt Carroll was good for a couple of goals, bobbing up. Florent good off the half-back line. I simply think they wanted it more. I don't even know if it was a skill thing. It was just more of a desire thing. There was obviously a very emotional week with Michael Voss departing. Resigned is the official word. But,
is there something to it, Jesse? Is there something to it? Because I feel like 99% of the time, a coach comes out and the very next game, the team wins. Regardless of how good they are, obviously how bad they are, given the coach is usually sacked or asked to move on. But it seems to be a thing. I
think it's just a case of freedom for that week.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? So obviously you've got a system that Voss has instilled. You get, who's in? Fraser. Coming in and taking over the reins for a bit. And he's like, I don't know, just go out there and play footy and enjoy yourself. I don't care. And then what happens? They go out there, they play footy and enjoy themselves. And guess what happens? They get a win. I don't know. Something to that, I reckon. Something to that. Strategy. Who cares? Just go out there and kick a ball around, put it through the big sticks. You probably win the game.
That's 0-2 for spreadsheets this week.
That's true. That's very true. All right, Jesse, we've got some Sunday action now. Did you want to, before I tick it over, is there a greater Sunday whinge you want to have, or is it just as we go through the games?
No, there is a greater Sunday whinge. I do not understand, and I'm going to get the fixtures up here.
Okay, I'll tick it over to the next Sunday.
Over.
Here we go.
Tick it over. So, Walyalup and Essendon play on the Sunday. Euroke and Richmond play on the Sunday. Woolwich Marrawa and Greater Western Sydney play on the Sunday. That's less relevant. Who are the 2 Friday night games this week?
I did notice this, actually. Yes, I did notice this.
Now,
four of the teams on Sunday.
This is an elite sporting competition, best competition of this code anywhere in the world, and we're scheduling 4 teams of 5-day breaks. Now, on the one hand, no team has an advantage. That's fine. They've all played the same amount of time ago, roughly. On the other hand, how is this good for game quality, especially when two of the teams are Essendon and Richmond?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, second of all, that off 5 days? Like, is that what we want here? Do we really want a fixture that's so hodgepodge with farcical gimmick rounds 6 weeks into the season where we all pick up stumps and go and do a travelling circus for a while, and then we come here and do this and we've got 5-day breaks? Like, it can't be that hard to do a fixture properly, can it? We don't need to be doing teams on 5-day breaks, do we? Is that really in 2026 with the invention of the computer? Do we need to be doing teams off 5-day breaks? Is that for putting aside the absolute nonsense of having 2 games on a Friday night? I mean, on one hand, it saves me from watching Dreamtime at the G this year, which great game in terms of spectacle.
Sure.
On field this year, though, no thanks. I would rather not do that. However, we don't need this, do we? This is silly. Like, I'm not completely off base here, am I? This is pointless. What is this achieving? Who is this benefiting?
No, I did notice the same thing, Jesse. I must admit on Sunday when I was looking through the fixtures and I was doing the fixtures for our graphics for the tips and trades coming up on YouTube. And I was like, these teams don't have much of a break. And then I must admit, I had the thought of like, oh, well, at least it's the same 4, but the Dreamtime of the G doesn't have to be doubleheader against the Dockers and the Saints. And Europa, it doesn't have to be. Like, it's a Saturday night game, sure, because it's got to be night. Obviously, it's got to be nighttime because that's where they get a lot of the night. But yeah, weird decision.
Would you not put Europa and Whale up against Yataporti and Carlton on the Saturday?
Yeah.
Or even like a Sunday afternoon twilight game? I'd take a 4:10 game on a Sunday. That's fine. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But I look at this and I think professional sporting organisation, by the way.
Yes. Well, I mean, you probably saved us some time talking about this game. 8-13-61 for the Bombers, going down to the Dockers 16-8, 104, as everyone expected.
A win for spreadsheets. 2-1. Go spreadsheets.
Look, it's going to be a quick one, Jesse. I'll get the bomberometer out. Douche. Okay. I reckon the bomberometer was going in around about a 6 or 7. The Dockerometer, which is not...
What did you just say, Len?
Shut up, Jesse.
No, what are you going to repeat what you said and do the hand movements?
I shall not. And then the Dockers... No, you do it. And then the Dockerometer, which is a name that we can definitely work on a little bit because I've just come up with it, maybe a 2. Like, the Dockers didn't really look like it gave...
Surely the third Dockerometer.
The what?
The Dockerometer.
The Dockerometer.
The thermometer. The thermometer.
We'll
subscribe.
It's fine. But I mean, it definitely the Dockers didn't look like they were trying very hard. I mean,
yeah, Liam, we talked about spreadsheets before.
Sure.
What do you reckon J-Lo's Excel formula is for fall asleep and second half? Because it's like, multiply first half and then do nothing else and just go home. A couple of things. First of all, booing Pat Voss is really funny.
That was so funny. Like, what are you doing, Essendon fans?
They're rattled. They're rattled because they've won 1 game this season and they have nothing to be excited about. They're rattled. And that's fine to be rattled. It's okay.
It's just weird to boo a guy that never played in your AFL team and you delisted, who got a chance at a different team. Very strange booing technique. But hey, it's a bold strategy. See if it works out for him. But kick 5, that's fun.
Great fun. He outscored them for most of the game too.
He did.
His defenders went to sleep.
Murphy Reid was great. Tracy was fantastic. He was an absolute bull. I think he just wanted to bully everybody. He was just running through people like it was going out of fashion. It was fantastic. I mean,
can I ask you a question? I know he scored a goal, and that's superb. Why is Sherry playing? What does he do?
Well, I mean, if you're going to give someone a run,
I'd rather play sharp. I'd overwhelmingly prefer to play sharp.
Yeah. I reckon if you're going to give a kid another chance to show if he's up for it, the Bombers is probably not a bad team to do it against.
Great. Play Davies over McDonald.
I agree with that one. I 100% agree with that one. I don't know why Omac was playing, to be honest with you. But anyway, we digress. The Bombers were valiant in the second half, but it's only because the Dockers weren't doing anything. And to be fair, with how little the Dockers were doing, the fact that it was still 43 points says all it needs to say.
Good games from Roby and Farah, I will say that. Both looked very good. out there and look comfortable at level, which I think is really important too, because like they're going past half the team. I'm looking at Farah and I say, you're a better AFL player than Mason Redman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's immediately concerning. McGrath did nothing. Who else did nothing? There was plenty of them. Caldwell did nothing. Merritt was good. You can't tell me, though, that getting your 4 first-round picks when you've won one game all season and look terrible every week wouldn't be a better outcome. Like you can't tell me that. You can say club pride. You can say he was worth more. You can't tell me that. Look at the results. Look like you're not winning games. He's not winning your games. He's maybe saving this from being a 10-goal loss. But honestly, I think you've got to credit the Fremantle coaching box for that more, because there was on the beach in Hawaii vibes about halfway through the third quarter. God, that last quarter was boring. I take back what I said about the Gold Coast Yata 40 last quarter. That was boring for a reason. This was just boring.
Yeah, the whole second half was pretty dire, but good win for Wally Up. They need to get him. So but it's good though from as Wally Up supporters, like seeing them actually win these games, because a lot of the times we go into these ones. It's
nice not to be stressed. It is nice.
Yeah, it's nice because you go into it, you're like, oh god, we're going to lose to the Bombers today. I just feel we're going to lose to the Bombers today, and we didn't. Great.
Peter Wright, long-term injury as well out of this. That is a big concern for the Bombers. Because
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it looks like a bad one. So he's been having a really good season for them, right? So that's disappointing for them. Caddy's was one that you didn't mention, I don't think, Liam, as well. He's good.
Oh, he's good. He's a good kid.
I would love to see the decision-making process in sticking Luke Ryan on opposition teams' most mobile tall forward, because it's happened twice in a row now, and I know I got in trouble for this last week, although I didn't actually get in that much trouble. When I say Luke Ryan can't defend, people look at me and go, what are you talking about? And I say, watch him defend one-on-one against matchups of a similar size to him. Of a similar size. So not like a Cozzy Pickett, which we've also done that before, and that was terrible. Or like, let's put him on Ned Reeves, for example.
I thought we could get away with like 1 week of not having to bag out a Dockers player, but here you are. Off you go.
It's not bagging out. He just can't defend. And that's fine. It's actually not his fault that he keeps getting put on these players. And then he's 10 metres behind them when they take a mark, and he's looking around saying, where is everyone?
All right,
look at the box, man.
Let's move on. We've got 2 more games to go. We've only got a few minutes to go. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. The Euroke. Oops, got to change that. Euroke. Saints 16-13, 109, defeating the Richmond Tigers 11-7-73. The really injured and really beaten up Tigers got worse for them this week, so much so they're going to look to getting some supplementary players to kind of help them fill out the old list for this week's Dream Time at the G game, Jesse.
Can I play?
I mean, probably. Just give him a call.
Thanks.
You'll be fine. The AFL needs a new shortest player after Isaiah Dudley. It is Jesse Dart. Here he comes. Do we have to? What's to say about this one, Jesse? Is it much?
Look, I watched most of this, and
I'm sorry.
What the things I do for you people. Oh gee, I mean, yeah, it's great. Euroke won, hooray! They get their win-loss record into the positives. That's nice. That's great. Richmond were fine, but they were never winning this game realistically. And that's honestly, you told me to cut time. There you go.
Done. Let's finish up with a game that probably is worth talking about, and that is this one. The Wallace-Murray Eagles 13-10-88, getting over the GWS Giants 10-11-71 in what was a spirited performance, Jesse. Even as a Freo supporter, when they kicked those last couple of goals, I couldn't help myself but give an involuntary fist pump. I was like, yes.
Involuntary?
Yeah, it just happened.
It's like a spasm?
It just happened. Ooh.
Do I need to call?
Why was I excited?
Zero?
Why was I excited by that? But it is nice to see the Eagles when they put in a good performance, because it's they haven't got a great team. So when they get a game like this, which we both thought was gettable, I mean, I put much fewer English. How good? I put fewer points on the Giants in our confidence points and tips and trades, because I thought that there might be a sneaky chance the Eagles could do this. Man. They just wanted that game so much more. I mean,
they did.
It kind of came down to that, realistically speaking. Giants are in the doldrums, Jesse. What are your thoughts?
Sack.
The Giants, the whole team?
No, the team can stay. Although maybe a few players within the team. No, look, I think I'm done with Adam Kingsley as a coach for this list. I think I look at this now and I'm out of patience. This team. They continually struggle for consistency. They continually struggle for form. I think they're clearly a top 10. It's not going to make the top 10 this year if they keep playing like this. I would start again. And I think we struggle to be ruthless in this sport. I think this is a start again one. I think while you still got guys like John Longmire, Ken Hinckley potentially available, I think it's time. I would throw, if I'm a club like the Giants or even Carlton right now, I'm looking at top level assistants or whatever's available. And I think there's a couple of coaches right now that are probably fortunate that there's not a lot of depth around in AFL coaching. We talked about this before because it's one league and we have this weird allergy to state league coaches coming up into the AFL system to senior coach. That you saw like you can in soccer or basketball where you can pull a guy from a top league in Europe or from anywhere else and they just come in and they're great now. It's not like that. So I would start again if I was the Giants. This was a horrific performance from them. Horrible performance.
They talk about the injuries, and obviously they got quite a lot of injuries and some of their best players. But I mean, you've still got a decent list, some really good young players, and you know you should be going across to Optus Stadium to face Wallach Marawa, thinking, you know what, maybe that's the problem, Jesse. They thought, oh, this is an easy win. That's usually what catches some teams out sometimes, but this wasn't it. There wasn't much energy. There wasn't much system. There's nothing.
It was a incredibly tame performance. Great performance from Wallach Marawa. They were up and about for it. Harley Reid is such a brommer for this team. Bailey Williams was fantastic. Milan Murdoch did a wonderful job at clamping Lockie Whitfield and detonating any of my fantasy hopes by taking out not only himself, but also my trade in Lockie Whitfield. Thanks, Milan. Although, as a proud East Fremantle boy, got to say, love your work. The 100-metre penalty was good entertainment.
Yeah, that's not a crucial point of the match or anything. Didn't matter. It was fine. But no, it was massive for the Eagles. It's always nice to see them get a win, third win for the year, which is great. Yes, I'm not too sure where the Giants are going to go from here. It is quite dire. Jesse, unless there's anything else to add, should we send it home?
I think we shall. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube. On a preferred podcasting platform, a review goes a long way. But the best type of review you can give us is word of mouth. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell any tradies you got coming around this week. And not only do we talk about tradies, we talk about tips and trades over on YouTube, our exclusive home for all of our fantasy and football tipping fun. Until next time, I'm Jesse. That's Liam. We'll see you around on the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast.
Bye, everybody.